Namaste friends, taking forward the discussion on internal combustion engines, today I will be taking up the details of multi-cylinder engines. We know that in automobiles, multi-cylinder engines are used almost invariably. Using a 4-cylinder or 6-cylinder engine in automobiles is most common. 8, 12 or even 16-cylinder engines are used in vehicles for special purpose. Obviously, more cylinder means more output from engine. Requirement of output by automobile determines the number of cylinders and size of engine. There are some engines designed with 3 or 5 cylinders, but in automobiles usually we are using engines with even number of cylinders. Variants in multi-cylinder engines are inline engine or V engine. In 6-cylinder engines, the crankshaft becomes too long and therefore it becomes difficult to handle it. Therefore, in engines with 6 cylinders, it is common to have V engine. This reduces the length of crankshaft and makes its handling easy. When I say handling crankshaft, I mean how forces acting on it are being balanced. As we have seen while discussing the working of IC engines, the subassembly of piston reciprocates inside the cylinder. That means it has linear motion. Piston subassembly consists of piston, piston rings, gudgeon pin and small end of the connecting rod. Crank pin and big end of connecting rod have rotary motion. Except connecting rod, the other components of engine have either linear motion or rotary motion. Connecting rod is a typical component that experiences linear as well as rotary motion. Therefore, it experiences different type of forces and stresses because of these forces. Let us consider a mass attached to a string. It is revolving in a circle. This will cause a pull on a string known as centrifugal force. This is a basic thing that all of you have studied in your schools. Considering IC engine, crank pin holding the big end of connecting rod revolves in a circle about the center of main journal. This sets up a force on journal in the direction of crank pin. This force, if not balanced, will cause vibrations in engine. These vibrations are transmitted to automobiles. This is not desirable. Let us consider the following. A body of mass m kg moving with angular speed omega radians per second at a radius of r meter about center of rotation O. The centripetal acceleration is equal to omega square r and corresponding force is equal to m into omega square r Newton. If angular speed omega radians per second is equivalent to n rpm, then F is equal to m into 4 pi square n square divided by 60 into r. Putting the value of pi and simplifying, F is equal to mr n square divided by 91.1. Now let us apply it to a small engine. Suppose the engine has a stroke of 0.2 meters or 20 centimeters. This means that crank throw will be 0.1 meter or 10 centimeters. If you remember, crank throw is distance between center of main journal and center of crank pin. This is half of stroke or R in this case. Mass of big end assembly could be 1.5 kilograms approximately. Big end subassembly consists of big end of connecting rod and crank pin. These are rotating about the center of journal. Assuming engine is operating at a speed of 3000 rpm. Applying the above expression and calculating force F, you will get it as 14,818.8 Newton. This force is due to revolving mass about the center of main journal. This force can be balanced by putting an equal mass opposite to crank pin. Looking at the diagram, assuming mass of crank pin big end subassembly is equal to m kilograms, located at a distance of r meter from the center of main journal bearing O. Counterweight of mass m kilogram is placed at a distance of r meter from the center of main journal bearing O opposite to crank pin big end subassembly as shown. It can be realized that if we use counter mass of 2 mkg, the distance between mass and the center of main journal can be reduced to r by 2. This is because product of mass and distance will remain equal. In practice, an extended mass balances this force through static balancing. It is only suitable for small crankshafts. For long crankshaft, it may not work. Two masses opposite to main journal may be equal and at equal distance, but they may not be in the same plane. This will cause formation of unbalanced couple. This unbalanced couple can be corrected through dynamic balancing. Dynamic balancing of all rotating parts is essential. It must be carried out to reduce the vibrations to minimum. As we have seen, an IC engine has reciprocating parts also. These are piston, piston rings, gudgeon pin and small end of connecting rod. As mentioned earlier also, among these, connecting rod is a typical component. Its small end is reciprocating whereas its big end is rotating. Usually, 1/3 of connecting rod with small end is considered to be reciprocating. 2/3 of connecting rod on lower side with big end is considered to be rotating. Balancing of reciprocating parts is equally essential to reduce the vibrations due to unbalanced forces. In practice, individual components of an engine are balanced statically and dynamically. Then this process is repeated twice, once with subassemblies and then with engine as a whole. Balancing of reciprocating parts. Most prominent reciprocating part is piston. It does not have uniform motion. Its direction of motion reverses after every half revolution of crankshaft. As far as its speed is concerned, it starts with 0 at the dead center. This is because it is at rest at dead center. Gradually, its speed increases in the first half of stroke. When it approaches the other dead center, it has to become stationary at dead center. Therefore, its speed reduces in second half of stroke. Piston moves with maximum speed in the middle of stroke. During this time period, it is moving with uniform speed. Change in speed, whether acceleration in the first half of stroke or deceleration in the second half of stroke, occur with application of force. This force is provided by tension or compression in connecting rod. Hence, conducting rod experiences both tensile and compressive stresses during stroke. The piston produces the same forces and effect towards the end of stroke whether it is approaching TDC or BDC. As it is occurring uniformly twice during the stroke, these could be considered revolving mass at crank pin. It could be balanced by equal revolving mass opposite to crank pin. Referring to diagram, it presents balancing revolving mass. Diagram on left in red shows balancing mass R opposite to crank pin when piston is at TDC or BDC. Its distance from crank pin is equal to twice the throw, that is 2R, as shown here. Obviously, engine stroke is also 2R. Revolving balancing mass will have centrifugal force F acting downwards as shown. This will balance force F acting upwards at the center of piston. Hence, in this position, the forces are balanced. Now, let us consider the downward movement of piston as shown in diagram on right hand side. Crank pin and balancing mass move in clockwise direction. These attain a new position as shown in blue on right hand side. Centrifugal force F will be acting radially outwards. In this position, it will have two components. One will be in horizontal direction FH and other vertically downwards FV as shown. Vertical component Fv is less as compared to force F acting downwards on balancing mass as seen in previous situation. The fact is that upward force F acting on piston is also reduced as discussed above. So, balancing achieved in previous situation is not affected. The horizontal component FH goes on increasing until the piston is in middle of stroke. It will become maximum there and will start reducing as piston moves downwards. This will become zero as piston reaches BDC. The horizontal component of force FH causes imbalance. So what is the difference? By adding balancing mass, unbalanced force is acting now in horizontal direction instead of vertical direction. The exercise is not useless. Actually, it encourages attaining a compromising situation. A smaller balancing mass is used. This reduces the imbalanced force in vertical direction as shown in diagram on left when piston is at TDC or BDC. It produces smaller imbalanced force as shown in diagram on right when piston is in the middle of stroke. This is in horizontal direction. This is a compromising situation because engine is not completely balanced and is applicable to small engines only. This also brings forward a fact that it is quite impossible to balance single cylinder engine. As already said, automobiles do not have single cylinder engine. They have multi-cylinder engine. Next, let us consider a 4-cylinder inline engine. 4 cylinders that are used are placed side by side. This type of engine is quite common in automobiles. Referring to diagram, the cylinders have been marked as 1, 2, 3 and 4. Pistons in cylinder number 1 and 4 are at TDC and pistons in cylinder number 2 and 3 are at BDC. This means they have reciprocating motion in opposite direction. This also helps in the balancing of engine. The crankpins are 180 degree apart in crankshaft as may be noticed in diagram. Force Ft is acting on crankpin of cylinder 1 and 4 as shown. It is acting in upward direction. In cylinder 2 and 3, force Fb is acting downwards. Ft is greater than Fb. The ratio between Ft and Fb depends upon the ratio of connecting rod length and crank throw or crank length. Force Ft and Fb acting on cylinders 1 and 2 form couple in clockwise direction as shown. Similar couple in anti-clockwise direction is formed on cylinders 3 and 4. These couples are acting in vertical planes. As magnitude of two couples formed is equal and these are acting in opposite directions, their effect is nullified. Now let us consider revolving masses in this 4-cylinder engine. These revolve with crank pins. Revolving masses produce couples in the same way as we have seen in case of reciprocating masses. The only difference in this case is that they have all-round effect because they are not acting in vertical planes. Because these are acting in opposite directions, therefore their effect is also nullified. Reciprocating and rotating parts in engine produce individual imbalance. However, they are nullified as explained above, but they may cause whip. Therefore, it is essential that crankcase and related components in engine are stiff enough to take up this whip. Whatever we have discussed till now is due to primary forces. Let us now consider secondary forces. Secondary forces and couples. If connecting rod had infinite length, it would have been parallel to the axis of cylinder always. In this case, piston reciprocating in cylinder would have simple harmonic motion. Let us consider the position of piston in cylinder in terms of crankshaft rotation. Referring to diagram, let us assume that piston is moving towards TDC. On left, the diagram presents its position in terms of crankshaft rotation. Crank pin corresponding to position of piston is shown as CP. As shown, it makes an angle theta from vertical. As already explained, force due to acceleration would be m into omega square into r. Here, m is the mass of crank pin assembly in kilogram, omega is angular velocity in radians per second, and r is the radius in meter. This force can be resolved into vertical and horizontal components. Horizontal component of F, Fh, is equal to m omega square r sin theta, and vertical component of F, Fv, is equal to m omega square r cos theta. Vertical component of F provides accelerating force to piston. Horizontal component of F does not play any role as piston does not have displacement, velocity or acceleration in horizontal direction. Moving to next diagram, primary force is drawn in red and it has maximum value when theta is 0 degree. This is because value of cosine of an angle is maximum at 0 degree. It reduces to 0 as shown when theta becomes 90 degree. The value of cosine of angle is 0 at 90 degree. It becomes negative as angle theta further increases. This is shown by red curve below horizontal axis. At theta equal to 180 degree, the value of cosine becomes -1. Therefore, the curve touches lowest point. Further increase in angle from 180 degree to 360 degree is repetition of same values. Therefore, curve is symmetrical about middle point. In reality, connecting rod is quite short in length. Due to this, motion of piston is not simple harmonic motion. Another harmonic or second harmonic, as it is known as, comes into existence. Accelerating force due to second harmonic is represented by F2. It depends upon the ratio of radius r and length of connecting rod L. F2 is equal to m omega square r into r upon L into cosine of 2 theta. Total accelerating force is sum of 2. It is given by expression total accelerating force is equal to m omega square r into cos theta plus F2, or total accelerating force is m omega square r into cos theta plus m omega square r into r upon L into cos 2 theta. Further simplifying, total force is equal to m omega square r into cos theta plus r upon L cos 2 theta. Generally, the value of r upon L is equal to 1 upon 4. Referring back to diagram, curve in blue represents second harmonic. It has twice the frequency of simple harmonic shown in red. At BDC, the two act in opposite direction, and at TDC, they act in the same direction as is shown in diagram. For balancing purpose, it is ideal to consider primary forces and couples due to them separately and secondary forces and couples due to them separately. Torsional vibrations. These vibrations relate to crankshaft. It experiences impulses during combustion in cylinder. Combustion impulses have a particular frequency depending upon engine speed. Crankshaft winds and unwinds as it rotates. This action has certain natural frequency. The length of crankshaft is more as compared to its radial dimensions. If number of cylinders increase, particularly in an inline engine, it becomes slender. This reduces its natural frequency. If two frequencies match, resonance occurs. Resonance gives rise to high torsional strains that are dangerous and can even damage the crankshaft. While designing the engine, care is taken that it never attains a speed where frequency due to combustion impulses matches with that of crankshaft. This way, occurrence of resonance is avoided. Alternatively, vibration dampers are used to dampen the vibrations. Here, I conclude discussion on vibrations produced in an engine and mechanical balancing of engine. Thanks for watching the episode.